All right, so our project has been sitting overnight, all right? We left the newspaper in there because the newspaper, like I said, is going to absorb some of that moisture from the clay, but it's not gonna absorb all of it, which is what we want, because we want our project to be leather hard. So, bring our project out. This newspaper may be a little bit on the soggy side, just set it aside for right now, all right? So we've got our project here. The lines that we've created in here using our tongue depressor look fairly realistic, but the problem is that we can see very distinct lines, okay? And I'm gonna hold this up a little bit closer. But as you can see that nice, clean, crisp line that was created with the tool. The problem is that pumpkins do not have lines that look like they're created with a tool. So we've gotta round these out, flatten them out, make them a little bit more realistic, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my loop tool, okay? This one's kind of the medium-sized one. Got a round side here and a square end there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the corner of this and very gently carve into the side of my project here so that it will create this kind of a line that goes in this way. Okay, so you can see how that's widening that line. So this compared to this, okay? Or this one here versus this one here, all right? Now, I'm also gonna get down to the bottom here. Don't worry, I won't leave that because we wanna get the whole thing. I'm not carving too deep. If I carve too deep, yes, you can go through the side of your pumpkin, which would be bad, obviously. So we don't want to necessarily do that. So I'm going to do this all the way around. And if your clay is still a little bit on the soft side, not the end of the world, just be really careful you don't go all the way through. Okay, we want to make sure we get all of those nice lines there. Almost done, got a couple more to go. My clay is still a little bit on the soft side. I think it was really, really wet when I started. So that's why I'm having a little bit of, it's getting a little bit on the soft side. The only difference is that when it's softer, it will grab your tool a little bit. It'll grab the loop tool and try to make it carve in deeper than you want it to. All right, last one here. All right, so I've made these lines a little bit wider, all right? So you can kind of see that a little bit better. This one's got a little bit of it, almost got a crack all the way through it, but we're gonna be okay. All right, now again, we see those little tool marks. We see those sharp edges. Pumpkins do not have those sharp edges. So how do we fix that? We're just gonna take our fingers and we're gonna round those edges out so that now it's gonna look much more realistic, okay? So you can see that all I'm doing is rubbing my fingers over the top of it. If I need to, I can take just a dab of water just to kind of help my fingers slide over that a little bit better, okay? But this is gonna give it a much more realistic look compared to those lines that we created with the popsicle stick or the tongue depressor, okay? And then even after we cut those, made them a little bit wider with the corner of our loop tool, okay, this is gonna help make it a little bit wider. Now, one thing you'll notice, okay, and I don't know if it's gonna show up there, but see right here how I've got that kind of big shadow, okay? It's kind of another one over here. That's because it's still a little bit on the sharp side. We wanna make sure that each of these lobes, I guess you could call them, of our pumpkin are nice and rounded and smooth so that they look like they grew like that, so that it was, you can't tell that it was made like that. You know, I keep trying to reiterate this idea that I don't want to be able to tell how it was put together. I want you to kind of hide that. I want it to look like it was a real pumpkin, okay, and never was touched by tools or touched by hand for that matter. So it should look that realistic if we can help it, okay? And so I'm going to smooth this a little bit more. And looks like I got one or two more here. Okay. And that guy there. Okay. So now, if you look at this, okay, It's looking a lot more realistic. I got a little bit more fine tuning to do with this, okay? But please, do yourself a favor. Make sure that those edges, those transitions from the groove that was created by my tongue depressor, the carving from my loop tool, okay, and then me smoothing it, these should become perfectly rounded so that it looks like as close to a realistic pumpkin as we can get, all right? I keep using that same phrase, the same phrase. You have to tell the viewer exactly what it is that they're looking at. If you tell them you're looking at lines that were created by a popsicle stick or a tongue depressor, they're gonna know exactly what that is. But if we smooth this out and make those lobes more realistic, okay, you're gonna see that they're gonna believe, hey, that looks like a real pumpkin, okay? And so you can see the difference in the lobes there versus even over here where it's a little bit sharper still, okay? So take the time, round those things out, make it look realistic, okay? And you will be thankful in the end, all right? I'm gonna keep smoothing the last little bit of this. In the next one, guess what? We get to start cutting stuff out or adding to it. That's the beauty of ceramics. And one of the things that I love about doing sculptural kind of projects is that we can add or subtract from the clay as we choose. But that'll be in the next one.